All right, so your page is going to look something like this to start off with some of the data values filled in. It'll be up to you to fill in your own. I'll fill in one more for myself, and you'll put your own initials in here when it's your time. So atomic number 8, we want to look up that information. We're going to go to this website called ptable.com. It has all kinds of properties on it, and you can see here in the link it says radius calculated. It takes us just to the radius calculated values here, and now we can look up the different values. I was on element number 8, so that's oxygen. So it's O is the symbol, oxygen is the name, and 48 is the radius. So let's just see here if I can remember it all. Oops, let's see, 48 and oxygen. Maybe write down the number first because that's the easiest. Oh, we want to know the row that it's in, so let's look back there. There's the first row, there's the second row, so we are in row 2. And as it turns out, the row also tells the number of shells. Then the group is going to just be called the oxygen group. Some groups get special names. Like you'll see here, we've got the alkali metals, noble gases, and we have also a few others like the halogens. This term is not something that is used very often. Just call it the oxygen group is fine. We'll see how that gets used later. So once we have all of the data filled in, we're going to fill it in as a team, we'll do some teamwork on it, and then we're going to go File, Make a Copy, and I'm going to call it here Mr. Barnum 2025 Atomic Data Filled, Make a Copy, and now it's yours to play around with as you choose. So again, we'll just cheat a little bit here, and we'll use the data that was collected from a previous year. I do want you to still use that website to get familiar with it. There's a lot of really cool information on this p-table besides just the sizes. So what I'm going to do is select all of the data here, including the titles, the headers, and I'm going to say insert a chart. And as a type of chart you probably have never used before, we're going to scroll down to the scatter. You maybe have used a scatter, but this one's called a bubble chart. And right away it makes an error. That's totally fine. It says our column ID must be numeric, so we're going to just change that so it is numeric. What we want to put here is our row or number of shells, because again it is the same thing. Our ID is going to be the symbol, so we can actually read it here. Our x-axis is atomic number, that looks good. There's our shells. And then for our series, we want to use the family. And what that does, it keeps them all the same color. So you can see alkali metals are blue, blue, blue. Noble gases are red, alkaline earth metals yellow, etc. There's a few things wrong with this graph first. First of all, everything's squished together, so we can stretch it out. But it doesn't matter how much I stretch it up high, these numbers are still cut off. So we need to play around with customizing our axis. So our vertical axis needs to be a bit taller. Instead of 4, you probably guessed it, we'll make it a 5, and now everything mostly fits. You can maybe stretch it out even a touch more so poor potassium isn't getting squished by calcium or vice versa. And so the most important thing of any graph is to put on our axes. So if someone picks up a chart from the ground, they can kind of tell what it is. So the easiest one first is our horizontal axis, and that's going to be our atomic number, but it's also our number of protons, because again, that's how we determine atomic number, is the number of protons. And our vertical axis, we have two choices here. We can say number of shells, and we can also say the row. This is the row on the periodic table. And for our chart title, we'll use, let's call it periodic, we'll call it size trends of the periodic table. Ta-da. Okay, so maybe you want to center that. Maybe it looks a bit better there. Maybe there's a few other things to add, but that's pretty much it. So we can start to see the trends, and we'll discuss this as a class of what goes on when we start a new row, bigger, bigger, and then smaller, 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 bigger, smaller, 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 bigger, smaller, 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 and so on. So that is it for this first trend, and see you in the next video.